Is your New Year's resolution to look more physically attractive? Most people think having a bodacious body will bring them better sex lives. But our relationship expert, Dr. Howard Devore, is here to talk about that. And you say that isn't always so. But why is it that we get so caught up in body image?
Well, there's a belief that if you look good, that you're more sexually attractive. So people spend a lot of time and diet and go to exercise and take drugs in order to look better. And it isn't necessarily the people that look good that have a great sex life.
So who is it and what is it about?
Well, the people who do have a good sex life are the people who like themselves, like their partners, know their bodies, and communicate what they like in sex to their partner.
That's easier said. I mean, it sounds really simple when you put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, liking yourself. I mean, all sorts of things come up.
Yes, and body image is one of the strongest ones. So when we try to deal with people who are dealing with some of these issues, we try to make sense of what it is that what the cost is of trying to have a perfect body. The people who are most concerned about this tend to get into trouble when they hold their bodies out for evaluation for their partners. And then when their partner has any sense of not liking everything about their perfect shape or their imperfect shape, that's when they begin to panic about their ability to feel relaxed in sex and just enjoy it.
Then they become so overcritical of themselves then that it's harder then to, release that. Because you say it's all in the head.
Yes, sexual experience, well, the sense of sexual experience being wildly positive is all in your head, like all of your personal experiences are.
Let's talk a little bit about women in particular, though, and things changing over time, because some of it is about education, and we are so much more open in terms of talking about sex and making jokes about it. Has that changed then over the years as well, our ability to enjoy sex more?
Well, as women's role in society changed, so has their role in sex. And women have a lot more power in their sex lives than they used to, for all of those reasons. We also know a whole lot more about women's sexuality than we ever did, because it used to be something that male researchers didn't want to study too carefully. So there's been a lot of interesting discoveries about women's sexuality and their physical responses, as well as some of their emotional responses to some of these physical cues as well.
And then talk about the male and the female relationship in terms of communicating and talking about all of that. And women being able to be more communicative as well. Well,
now it's okay for women to enjoy sex. And there used to be a sense that women were supposed to be quiet and not enjoy sex very much, not communicate their needs very well. And those days are over. We're in a time where it's very clear that women can communicate about their needs very, very easily to men.
But does that intimidate men? Do you think socially we've gotten to a place now where men are a little more uncomfortable?
I think that men are a little more uncomfortable with their sense of being the ones who are in control in bed. And that's a good thing. A good sexual relationship should happen between people who meet each other as equals, not one person being superior and the other one inferior.
So if there's someone who's really evaluating this in their lives or struggling with it, where would you start them off? What advice would you have for them?
I'd want to find out where they're at in their sex life. If these are people who are still dieting because they think that if they look perfect, that someday they're going to be able to find the love of their life, let's deal with the self-esteem issues and make sense of how it is that they can get more in touch with their own feelings about themselves. If these are people who have had a lot of sex and have discovered that it isn't very interesting to be somebody who just kind of passes themselves around a community, then we deal with issues around intimacy and how they were raised, what they believe about that.
Yeah, which you say, good sex isn't necessarily having a bunch of different partners either.
No,
maybe it is for someone, but necessarily not so.
Typically not. Having a lot of sex or having a lot of people wanting you for sex is not the answer to a good sex life.
Great. Some good advice. Thank you. It's always great to have you, and we'll see you back next week.
Good to see you.
Okay, and if you have